All right, what's going on? We're going to continue on yesterday's lesson of accessing health services. Yesterday, or whenever that would have been for you all, was talking about different things such as healthcare in general, the different types of healthcare. We talked about primary care physicians, specialists, inpatient, outpatient facilities, the different types of insurance and all that. So we're going to keep continuing on that. Moving on to knowing your rights. So people have a certain rights regarding their health care. Federal and state laws describe and protect these rights. For example, people who receive health care have the right to privacy. According to the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, or HIPAA, patients must consent before their private health information can be shared. A doctor would need a patient's consent to share medical information with another doctor. So even if you go to your family doctor, okay, and they find out that you have an underlying condition, let's say that you have asthma, all right? In order for another doctor to find out that you have asthma, they have to contact, or even something like a list of allergies that you've shared, okay? So if you're going to a new doctor or you're going to a specialist that was referred by your doctor, your family doctor, let's say you get that concussion, you need to go see a neurologist. The neurologist cannot have your health information without your signature. So even though you went to the doctor, it's your family doctor, you let them do all this treatment and examinations on you, they find out you have a concussion, etc., your medical history, that doctor can't say, all right, I'm going to have you go to the specialist. I just sent all your stuff over to them. They can't send that stuff to them until you agree to it, and you have to sign, and it's a really big deal. All right? And that's just up for you. That's for you to gauge. If you're going to go to that doctor, it would probably be good for them to know everything that you've already told your other doctor. All right? And in more serious cases, it stops, health facilities from spreading your information with the public as well. It's part of that as well. Maybe, imagine if a doctor puts something about you having a severe breathing condition, okay? If you went to get a job and all these people that found out that you have a severe breathing condition, it could affect their bias into giving you a certain job or something. That's why it could potentially be important in situations like that. Okay? So moving on to minors. A minor is people under the age of 18. If you are under the age of 18, you are considered a minor. Once you hit 18, you are considered a legal adult. And being a legal adult comes with a whole lot of new responsibilities, a lot of new freedoms, when you become a legal adult. But until then, you are considered a minor. When you are a minor, you do have some limitations on some of your rights. And the reason is because, whether you believe it or not, your brain is still developing until you're about 25. All right? That being said, even from my perspective, I think I'm 28. Yeah, I'm 28 at this time this video was shot. I think about things that I have learned just since I was 15 and 18. And at the time, you think you know everything, but eventually you do understand more concepts, you make better decisions, etc. Okay, and a lot of that comes from experiences, failures, whatever it might be. Like I said, your brain does continue to grow. You will get smarter than you are today, most likely. So they assume, and they'd like to assume, it's not in all cases, that parents will make the best decisions for their children, and that children might be persuaded into making decisions by doctors or adults that they shouldn't, that could cost them a lot of money, that could cost them their health. So it's kind of like a protection, okay? We assume that you're young and you haven't had to been through these situations as much before, but once you've seen your parents make some decisions, you've learned a little bit more, you went through college or your early 20s, whatever, been through certain jobs, you learn more things that help you make really important decisions. It's not a knock on you guys for being younger, but it is what it is. You will learn and have all kinds of experiences in the next 10 years that will shape you and make you mentally stronger and make better decisions. Okay? All right. So looking at this chart, minors can consent for. All right? In different states, in 44 states out of 50, medical care and counseling for substance abuse. So if you're struggling with substance abuse and you're trying to seek counseling in 44 of the 50 states, you would be able to do that without a parent's permission. In all 50 states, if you are over the age of 16, so if you're 16 and over, okay, you can consent for STI or STD testing and treatment, okay? That is your right if you're over the age of 16. So that's an instance, okay? Inpatient mental health services. So if you're going to check yourself into a mental health hospital and it's somewhere where your mental health is poor enough to where you have to stay in the supervision of medical specialists, if it's mental health, they assume that you can't make that decision for yourself because you might not be in a good mental state. All right? So you would not have the freedom to do that if you're trying to go somewhere where you need personnel on staff right by you because of your mental health. And that will kind of go back up here. So to give consent, a person must be capable of fully understanding the decisions involved. And that kind of goes back to you guys being younger. There might be some stuff that you just, like I said, haven't seen yet. It affects that. And it also affects people who have mental handicaps, disabilities, things like that. Obviously, if it's someone that needs a lot of assistance doing daily tasks, they're probably not going to be able to make a huge health decision where they're signing for treatment for an odd amount of dollars or making a huge decision that involves their health. There's actually a controversy going on right now. Britney Spears, if anyone's ever heard of her father has a lot of her rights. Okay, it's pretty complicated. You can kind of look it up. Her father has a lot of her rights, and it involves like mental health to where she can't make a lot of her own decisions, and now it's turning into a big deal. She wants those decisions back, etc. All right. So moving on to the next page here. Getting regular checkups and screening. So preventative health care, I talked a little bit about that yesterday. Medical care that seeks to prevent health conditions from developing. Includes annual physical or wellness exams, checkups, vaccinations, and screenings. Okay? So the best way to treat something is to stop it from happening in the beginning. So getting a flu shot. Like if I don't want to get the flu and I get a flu shot, then I'm probably good to go. If I wait until I get the flu and I'm sick and I'm throwing up, it's too late. I can't get rid of it. You gotta fight out the process. But if you take the time, 20, 30 minutes, go down and get a flu shot from a little clinic or something, you're probably going to be good to go for that season. It's going to save you hours in the beginning, maybe even could be your life, depending on your health situation by getting that vaccination. All right, so vaccinations are good for that reason. Physical exams, things like that, those are important too. If you get a physical exam every year and they check your blood pressure and your weight and so on, they can see, are you overweight for your age or your body type? Do you have high blood pressure? Because if you have these high blood pressures, it's a preventative thing where they might tell you to stop playing a sport, okay? They might find a heart condition that could turn into a serious arrhythmia or basically a heart malfunction where your heart could stop or beat irregularly and kill you. They could prevent that from happening by saying, hey, look, I know you like sports. You're able to still walk for exercise, but you're not going to be able to participate in sports because it's too high intensity for your heart's ability right now, and it could cause the serious issue. Okay, that's a preventative care. A big one would be like a cancer. Okay, and as prevalent as cancer is today, that's why these yearly screenings are so important. If you catch cancer at stage 4, good stinking luck. Okay, the cancer is usually spread through your whole body. All right, when they treat cancer, they actually kill cells. So to kill cancer, they also have to kill living cells around the cancer. Guess what you are? You are living cells. So they're killing a part of you in order to kill the cancer too. They're just hoping that the cancer dies first. And that's the big issue here. If they catch cancer at stage 1, they have a lot better chance. All right, they'll stop it from getting to that next stage. They can stop it from spreading. But that's why it's so important to get these health screenings so they can catch it to where they can beat it. Okay. It's just like a fire. If you catch it when it's really small, you could step on it. You just put your foot over it, throw something over it, get a water pail and hit it. The fire that started in Tennessee a couple years ago, if they would have saw that in the first 5 minutes, it wouldn't have been an issue. They wouldn't have spread like that. They could have put it out easy. But since they didn't see it for hours later, the mass effect, there's no way they could put it out. It just spread too far. There's no way they could put it out. That's kind of how cancer is. Once it spreads to all different parts of your body, it's just so much harder to treat, so much harder to get rid of. Okay, so that's why those preventative healthcare screenings are so important. All right. Down here it talks about being prepared when you go to the doctor. All right, when you go to the doctor, you might have some questions that you would ask, and that's always for the best, especially if you're only going for a checkup every once in a great while. If I go to the doctor myself right now and they're like, any questions? After they've just explained all this, stuff to me, I'm going to be like, well, I'm sure I'll think of one later. Okay. I forget, and I would imagine you guys would be the same way. Write the stuff down before you go. That way you have the questions, you can get them answered, because if you try to remember off the top of your head, or you get in there and you've been in the office forever, you're going to be like, oh, get me out of here. No, I'm good. I'll let you know later. Okay. And then it's hard to get them back on the phone, or you got to set up a new appointment. Write stuff down. It'll be for your benefit. All right. So, moving on to the next part. Questions to ask your doctor. We'll say it's kind of the same part here. Will you tell my parents or others the information I tell you? Could depend on the state, the situation, what's causing my symptoms. Is it normal to feel this way? How can I prevent this health issue from happening again? How does the medication work? What side effects should I expect? When should I come back? Okay, those are all different questions you could ask your doctor, and it doesn't stop there. All based on your own personal preference and stuff like that. Just talk over your parents before you go. Maybe do some critical thinking, and you can come up with some questions. Seeking treatment for a health condition. So, this is important. Obviously, you got to make the decision to go get treatment when something is wrong. If you notice things getting worse, it's your responsibility to do something about it. Emergency health care is medical care that treats life-threatening conditions. So, life-threatening conditions, obviously, you think that would be obvious, but it's not necessarily the case. So if you go onto this next page, it'll talk about things that require emergency health care. Burns that cause blisters or char on the skin. If you burn yourself and you get a real bad blister, you might not think that that's life-threatening, okay? But it is, because it can get infected and it can spread. You can lose a body part because of it. That stuff gets infected really easily. Broken bones, obviously, you need to go get that checked out. Broken bone could do certain types of nerve damage, or it could be life-threatening if something happened to a vessel or an artery because the bone pierced it. Difficulty breathing or choking, that one seems kind of obvious. Fainting and unconsciousness, that is so huge. I actually lost a really good friend of mine from cardiac arrest. He fainted. He got back up, was just kind of like, wow, it's weird. Went home from work, and then he died on his couch, okay? Because he was fainting because of lack of blood supply from his heart, cardiac arrest, okay? Fainting or unconsciousness, that is not stinking normal. You got to get that checked out. Puncture wounds, animal bites, could be severely infected, could kill you. Got to be careful. Don't freak out. Just get it checked out. All these that you see here on page 56, if you guys want to check these out, please do that. Super important. Okay, it looks like that's it for this lesson. Something else I wanted to make sure I covered was just some symptoms they suggest that you do go to the doctor for. Maybe not emergency healthcare, but is high fever, coughing, extreme fatigue, which is just being super tired and hard to move, painful headache, vomiting, diarrhea, unexplained pain, and rashes. See your doctor for all those different types of symptoms. That's pretty important, okay? Let me know if you have any questions. That's it for the end of 2.3, Accessing Health Services.